Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
My hair, funny.
Hey, I'm Ted Jenkinson here with Chris Hanks and Shantel Khleif with the post-show wrap-up of the Shrimp Tank. You can always catch a replay of the entire show. You should listen to it. We had a great dialogue today on shrimptankpodcast.com. Check out all of the YouTube videos of all of our successful business owners. If you really want to learn what to do with being an entrepreneur, this is going to be a great place to be a resource to get all of that information. So I want to say thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
So we talked about a lot of stuff today, but I think for the people that are watching the post-show wrap-up, there are a lot of people out there that are graduating college, or they may have been a year or two into their first job, and they're thinking, can I be a young person and really become an entrepreneur? I know there's the Mark Zuckerbergs and the people like that that make it big, but how did you decide to take the leap to get into this, and how would you encourage other people that are younger to just do it and become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, false evidence appearing real. I mean, I think people hear that all the time, the fear. It's always going to be there, and so I think you just need to tackle it head first and try. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is it fails and you try something else, and that's really not that bad because it's an amazing learning opportunity. So do it. Don't make excuses. You don't have to know everything always. You're going to learn as you go, so don't feel like you have to know it all before you start.
And I've always thought that younger is better sometimes because you may not have all of the liabilities, and if you do fail, it's not necessarily like you have 3 kids and 2 homes, and you get a chance to take a little bit more of that risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and for somebody like me, I know 18 ways it can't work, and you may not be as familiar with that, right? So that's a really good thing. So, are there any particular obstacles that you had to overcome as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, as opposed to somebody a little bit older?
I think understanding our numbers is something that I had to get a good grasp on. Knowing how to project, knowing how to, invest and figure out finances was something, and they've helped me a ton, Oxygen Financial.
Yeah.
That is one of our biggest obstacles. And then also putting the right people in the right spot. Mentioned on the show earlier, we were hiring, at least initially, because we liked them or we thought that they could do it, instead of looking at our org chart. So having an organization chart is huge. And then filling the spot that we needed, as opposed to just, oh, we think we could fill that spot, or,
Right.
Yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Now, we heard you talk during the broadcast today, and I'm interested in what you'll tell folks that are watching the post-show wrap-up, that despite the fact that in your prior career you did a lot of business planning, that this business didn't actually have a business plan. So does a person watching this thinking about starting a new business, do they actually need a business plan?
You need to be more strategic about it, absolutely. You should invest in the time in figuring out your core values and what's going to set you apart, and your mission statement, because everything else snowballs from that. And so you'll make less mistakes if you have a more strategic plan up front.
So what do you know now that you wished you knew at the very beginning of your venture?
We talked about this a little bit too, but hiring slow and firing fast. I think the scaling and hiring and firing is something that I wish I had a better grasp of prior to starting, but we're figuring out and we're navigating through it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show today. For those that are watching the post-show wrap-up, how can somebody who really, if you want to get social media done and you want to do it right, your company would be a great place for them to hire and go to. How can they get in touch with you?
Thank you. Well, please follow along on our social media channels at Imagine Media Consulting, but also check out our website, imaginemediaconsulting.com, and then if you'd like to email me personally, it's Shan, S-H-A-N, at imaginemediaconsulting.com.
Well, you should take those tips, what you heard today from Shantel, which is, one is know your numbers on here, which I think is amazing. If you don't know the numbers of your business, how are you going to grow it? 2 is have a business plan, at least a strategic plan to say, where is your company going to go in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? And then I love the thing that she talked about today, which is to basically hire slow and fire fast. You ought to hear what Hank said on the show. You'll have to listen to the whole podcast about it because it was great insight about what to do with your employees. You can catch a replay every week on shrimptankpodcast.com. You should hear the entire interview with Shantel.